We have to stop waiting for the perfect everything to fall in our laps, and for the heavens to open and the dove to descend and say, this is my son that I'm well pleased. Hey, welcome to episode 0 of the Fresh Leadership Podcast.
The Dame Time episode.
Yes. So
here we go.
Shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yep.
Is this their year, Rob?
I sure hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Our state can use that.
Come on now. Well, we wanted to just do a pilot episode explaining the heart and vision and origin story.
I love a good origin story.
Yeah. So why don't you take us in on the origin story? Let's start with that.
Well, I think so. Pastor John and I, we work together up here at Journey Church in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it is such an honor and joy. We love where we get to work. We love our pastors. John's actually my boss. And we've had so many conversations that I think have really inspired me, have helped me out. And I was like, why don't we have microphones in front of us right now?
We literally have said we should have been recording that.
So after about, 2.5 years of saying that?
Oh, man.
We finally put some mics in front of our faces. And we're excited because we love to share not just wisdom that God's giving us, but we love to share relationships that God's given us too.
Yeah.
So, we just think that there are friends that are going to be coming in on this that we just can't wait for people to hear their voices as well. But honestly, John, you're full of wisdom and a great speaker in your own right. 2+ decades in next gen ministry.
And you yourself, don't sell yourself short. God's gifted you with crazy wisdom beyond your years.
He has been kind to both of us for sure. And our world has definitely been next gen. So, combined, we have over 30 years, over 3 decades in next gen leadership. So we just figured we'd create this podcast
and we have a heart for young leaders.
Exactly.
So not only has that been where we've invested the majority of our ministry experience, but we have a heart for young leaders. So if you're a young leader listening to this is for you. If you're not a young leader, is this for them?
I totally think that there's wisdom that anyone from any age or stage of leadership can learn from and glean from, because some of the wisest people I know, people well into their 80s, still come in with a learner's posture and attitude.
Yeah.
And I admire and respect that. However, we definitely know that God has uniquely gifted us to inspire people younger in their leadership, people that are fresh into their leadership, and also people that are just looking to be continually encouraged in their leadership principles.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely, we know there's a million podcasts out there,
right,
that you probably listen to.
So many good ones.
You're probably, listening to on the way to work or in the gym. Obviously, Rob and I are partakers. I don't know why I use that word of all the words, but we partake in some great leadership podcasts.
Yeah.
So why should the young leaders that are listening to this, why should they listen to Fresh Leadership Podcast? What makes this so different than any other podcast that they could consume out there?
Well, I think that, we might offer some unique voices that they haven't heard before too. So instead of maybe recycling ones that we hear often on other podcasts, I think that just inviting some friends into the circle that we might not hear from as much or haven't heard from yet, that we think, hey, these are actually emerging voices. These are voices that we believe are going to mark a generation, and we want to let you in on some of that. So I think
voices that we benefited from.
Oh, absolutely, and that we still benefit from sure.
That we have learned from, that we feel like have challenged our lives and our leadership. Yeah, and so we want to steward those voices, those friendships, and we want to share those with you.
And I'm curious I'll ask the question right back to you. Why do you think that they should listen to this unique podcast?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great leadership podcasts out there. I think why Fresh Leadership Podcast is because we want to have fresh conversations. We want to have fresh voices, and we want to have fresh new ideas that we want to introduce into the leadership conversation. So, we know that there's a lot of great ones out there, and this is not disparaging them, but there's some that we've listened to in other genres right outside of church leadership that I'm going, man, I love this conversation. This is totally new and fresh to me. I would love to share this in the context of church leadership. And so I really think it's just helping bring some of those conversations and voices, concepts into the church leadership circles. I don't think that we have the best voice. I'm not suggesting that we're the only voice or we're now the new kids on the block. I'm not suggesting any of that. I'm just suggesting using what God has given us. It's a stewardship issue for us.
It is.
That we would steward well the gifts that he's given us, the wisdom he's given us, the friendships circles that we get to run in, and that we would steward those well and share those with young leaders who we think can benefit from this.
Yeah, and I actually want to spend a little bit more time just on that, the stewardship aspect of this, because that's undoubtedly a part of this origin story. I mean, if you're one of the people that's watching this right now from behind the screen, our lighting isn't what we want it to be right now, and we're working on. We have some really fun backdrop ideas that are being crafted right now, and moving from ideas to actual projects, implementations, right? But we don't have the perfect setup yet. Our producer today, Patrick, has been spending hours.
Shout out Patrick Foster.
Shout out to our friend Patrick. He's a really good friend of mine. He's been helping us out with the tech stuff because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But all what we knew was, Lord, you've given us something, and we actually feel like we would be disobedient if we weren't to do this.
Yeah, like I think of the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
And there was the one young leader that buried his talents because he was looking for the perfect situation, the perfect environment, the perfect opportunity. And because he was waiting for perfection, he just buried it in the ground.
Wow.
And I think this is really where this went from 2.5 years of saying we should have recorded that.
I know.
To us saying, you know what? We have to stop waiting for the perfect everything to fall in our laps, and for the heavens to open and the dove to descend and say, this is my son that I'm well pleased. That we needed to just stop waiting for perfection and just be obedient and steward well and stop burying this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working from God's pleasure without a doubt. Like we know that he's pleased with us. And it's from that way, we just pray that he's going to redeem some of those moments in time that, just quite honestly, I'll confess right now, I buried it, and we didn't start this. And you can use excuses like scheduling and timing, whatever, but we're starting today, and maybe that's just the principle that we want to start with in this pilot episode. Episode 0 is just whatever God has placed in your heart right now, whatever idea that you've been meditating on, for
sitting on, burying in the ground,
whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be a podcast show, but if that's starting that book, open it up, read page 1. If it is beginning that gym membership, go ahead, go after it. If it's exploring that activity that interests you, it could be cooking, art, whatever. Learning guitar for the first time, you're not too old, start today. Start today.
Yeah, that's good. So, already episode 0, we're starting off with some practical. That's really the heart of this whole podcast, is to bring extremely practical tips and tools that you can apply in everyday life. We want it to be so practical because we appreciate practical.
Yeah.
We want it to be applicable the very next day, the very next moment after you listen, and be able to have some takeaways. So
absolutely.
So I guess we just start right away with episode 0, right?
Yeah.
So one last question.
Okay.
What can we expect? I know we have the first bunch of series of episodes kind of planned out. Give us a little preview.
Season 1 will be on habits. Habits. We love habits here, and all of us are products of habits, and it's either by choice or by, just natural system that you sink into or drift into. So either way, we're all creatures of habits, and we just want to be intentional with the ones that we choose. So that's what season 1's going to be about. We're bringing some really fun friends.
Yeah, Manny Arango
is on it. Noah Heron, Jason Yost as well.
Just a few.
And then obviously we'll have some pieces to add in and more friends along the way. But so grateful for your time with us today. Thanks for checking out episode 0. More to come.